Hey, what's going on, guys? Carter here. Got another video for you. You know exactly what this is. This is another Paramilitary 2 comparison video. At this point, it's kind of just tradition. I've got to compare almost every night to the Paramilitary 2, especially if they're even remotely in the same category, and I think both of these are. By that category, I mean general EDC use. You know, kind of just an all-around knife. This has been my, well, and still is, kind of my #1 go-to knife for general carry. When people ask, hey, what knife would you recommend? I usually say, have you tried out the Paramilitary 2? And that still stands, even with this knife, which I think is far superior. The price point, I think, still makes the Paramilitary 2 reign supreme. But let's take a look at both of these. I'm going to try to keep this brief. Overall size, you would generally say, is about the same. The Paramilitary 2 is actually about 1/4 of an inch longer in total length. However, you can see the blade length difference here. You're getting a longer blade and a lot more cutting length on the Southard. As you can see right there. Look at all that cutting length. And you're not really sacrificing much else for that cutting length. One of the primary, I guess you would say, detractors from this knife is the blade to handle ratio. Blade stops about here, so you've got quite a bit of extra stuff kind of hanging out over here, making the handle longer than the blade. That mixed with this choil that comes into the blade itself even more, makes it even more pronounced. Really makes the blade look small compared to the handle, whereas the Brad Southard, it's much more even. You can see how it goes right to the very end right there. So you're no wasted handle space on the Brad Southard. So overall size usage, you definitely have to give the upper hand to the Brad Southard. You're getting more cutting length in a slightly shorter knife overall. You really can't beat that. Blade steel, Southard takes it hands down. Much better blade steel, even though the Paramilitary 2 standard edition is S30V, which is plenty fine. This one's S35VN, but the standard is S30V, plenty fine for most uses, plenty fine for me. But still, having a steel like CTS 204P is just really cool and gives you a little bit more pride of ownership, knowing you have such an advanced steel on your knife. Obviously this is a flipper opening, whereas this is Spidey hole only. Spider hole is quite a bit bigger too, you can see. But you can still open this with the spider hole. I've got giant thumbs, it's a little more difficult for me, but I can still do it. Weight, you're going to get more weight on the Southard. Just no two ways about it. You've got a titanium frame lock, thick titanium scale on the opposite side, and G10. Whereas here you've got thin steel liners that are skeletonized, and it's mostly G10 on the handle. So very lightweight knife here. This, I wouldn't call this a heavy knife, but definitely not as light as the Paramilitary 2. So I'd give weight definitely to the Paramilitary 2. But probably the biggest factor that sets the Southard apart is its slim profile in the pocket. You can see that the Southard is almost only as big as the handle on the Paramilitary 2. Really doesn't take up nearly as much space. You can line up the back, like right there, and you can see how much more sticks out on the Para 2 because of this giant spider hole. So it's a double-edged sword. It's really easy to open. You can get your thumb in there. I mean, you can stick your freaking pinky all the way through that, and yet it increases the width quite a bit. Now if you look at the actual width of the knife, you can see that the Southard is a little bit thicker. Not a ton, but it is a little bit thicker. So both excellent knives. I recommend them both. Oh, price. The Southard is going to be over twice the cost. So that's probably the biggest sticking point between these two. In terms of, you know, price aside, which one do I think is the better knife? The better general EDC knife, where you just get more features, more pride of ownership, and a better carry knife, I'd have to go the Southard. But when you consider the fact that it's over twice the cost, you know, it's hard to beat the good old Paramilitary 2. So I'm not going to pronounce a winner per se, but you can definitely kind of see where I'm leaning. This still reigns supreme as my general recommended EDC blade, especially for people just getting into knives that want to get something a little more, you know, a little nicer, a little more expensive, but not too crazy. Still recommend the Para 2. However, for those more seasoned knife vets, you definitely can't pass up all the features that the Brad Southard has to offer. Alright guys, just a quick look between these two. I'm out of here. You take it easy and have yourself an excellent, excellent day.